Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report brought to you by Monster Energy. Please, everybody, do enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody. It's your boy Izzy right here on the Red Zone Report on the Built in Buffalo YouTube, Facebook, X/Twitter, whatever you call it, channel. I'm here to discuss Week 3 briefly because there's not a whole lot to talk about in Week 3 of the preseason, other than the fact that there were some touchdowns scored and some players showed pretty well. Then after that, doing my 53-man roster. It's a little early still, but cut down days Tuesday. So we're going to see how this goes, and, they're going to cut down. Everybody's going to cut down. Every team's going to have a chance to go to the waiver wire, pick up players. And so this is not going to include any of that because I have no idea who's getting cut by other teams. But I am highlighting the 53. I think that will be on our roster initially, and then guys who could be slotted in once the 53 is established, and then guys are put on IR, not season-ending IR, like potentially Matt Milano and Mitchell Trubisky and guys like that who are likely to see IR time, but with the eligibility to return. So the 53 is that, and then I have, I think, 6 players at the end who could potentially be brought up once those guys are put on IR. So we're going to get into the guys, but first things first, Week 3, Buffalo Bills played the Carolina Panthers. I have that information that way, so if I look like I'm looking above the broadcast, I sure am. All right, so the Buffalo Bills played the Carolina Panthers, and they both went 1-2 in the preseason. The Bills were 0-2 at home, surprisingly, but, it doesn't matter. It's the preseason. No one cares, right? What matters is the evaluation of the players that are on the team, right? So 1-1 for both, and the Bills lost this one 31-26. Not a big deal. Now, going to the comments to get the pleasantries out the way, we have Sandra L. King, good evening. Good evening, Sandra. Welcome. My man David, how you doing? I appreciate you being here, man. Let's see. Yo, Izzy, my guy, go Bills. What's up, Daniel? My guy, welcome back. Michael DuPont, welcome back. What's good? Hey, it's all good. See, the Bills released 7 players today and put 2 on IR. I'll be double checking that. I know some guys probably went to IR to be, stashed for next year. And I'm seeing Deion Jones has been released. Oof. Okay. Says linebackers Simon and Deion released. If we keep 6 linebackers, Buffalo Joe has made the 53. Well, I did have Deion Jones on my list as a making team, and I also had Andreessen as a guy who could be slotted in if someone was cut or put on IR. So thank God I had those 6 other guys. And some have started getting cut already. All right, yeah. So I haven't seen any of that today. All I've been doing is putting together my slideshow, getting pictures of the players, digging through that. But I will go ahead and pull that up because that's important. Also, my buddy brought to my attention a player who is potentially on the trade block or is on the trade block, a linebacker. And I'll talk about him a little later on in the show just because I'm interested. I'm very interested. So, yeah, we'll get into that. Let me pull up the Bills website so I can see who has been released. QB Anthony Brown, wide receiver Demir Bird, offensive lineman Kevin Jarvis, defensive end Rondell Bothroyd, linebacker Shane Simon, linebacker Deion Jones, and cornerback Kyron Brown. Now, this doesn't mean that these guys are gone, but they most likely are since they are the first cuts. And if you're one of the first cuts, it's probably a wrap for you. I like Deion Jones. I thought he might be a guy that they keep around. Maybe they bring him back if there's an injury, but I do like Deion Jones and his potential. I'm surprised that they, kept him or cut him and then kept Morrow, but Morrow's been hurt. So that to me is a big surprise. And then on IR, D. Delaney and Terrell Burgess, which definitely helps my case for my show on the safety side of things. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the preseason game. The Buffalo Bills, again, played the Panthers. The Panthers started their starters, right? The Bills did not. So it was all backups for us. It was starters for them. Their starting offensive unit looked pretty good against our backups. Bryce Young went 6 of 8 for 70 yards, a touchdown. Passer rating of 140. Jack Plummer went in, and he played the rest of the game. 21 of 29, 278. 2 touchdowns, 125.4 rating. Looks like they have their backup quarterback set. And so that's good for them. Very happy that the Panthers are doing well. I do like the Panthers. I live in Carolina, so if I'm not pulling for the Panthers, or if I'm not pulling for the Bills, well, I'm always pulling for the Bills, but if the Bills aren't playing the Panthers, I pull for the Panthers. Unless there's some sort of scenario where we need them to lose, which is super rare. Like, it's almost unheard of. So there's that. Their rushing attack, they went 26 for 74 yards, so the rushing defense was pretty good. Jaden Sheridan had most of their yards rushing, 13 for 35. All their guys averaged 2.8 yards per carry total. So they only had 1 rushing TD by Mike Boone. So yeah, the Bills defense did well against the rushing game. And yeah, we'll go to the Bills side of things now, right? Because yeah, Anthony Brown, I'm surprised they cut. I'm surprised too because Anthony Brown had a game. We'll go ahead and talk about him real quick. He went 11 of 12 for 102 with 5 days of knowing the system. Right now, you can say that they schemed him up, and that's fine. But 11 of 12 is 11 of 12 for 100 yards. Like that's pretty impressive to me. I mean, Ben DiNucci had a good game too, 11 of 15, 76 yards and a touchdown. He's had 2 weeks now in the system, and Anthony Brown's had 1. Splitting hairs there, really. Like 2 weeks is not enough, and neither is 1, especially not 1. And so I think that Anthony Brown being cut was a surprise to me as well. I would have liked to have seen him make it to the practice squad, but it looks like DiNucci's going to be that guy, unless DiNucci's going to be the number 2 somehow if Trubisky gets put on IR, but I don't know how that's going to work out. I know that the Bills get, and every team gets, 2 players that can go to IR on cut day and return. Anybody else who is not designated to return on cut day will be on IR for the whole season. So that's the new IR rule. There are, I think, 8 total slots in the season for IR to be brought back, and 2 of those slots are for that. You can, if you don't use them, then you can still use them to the season. But yeah, team also plays 2 players on injury reserve. I think that they're done for the season, though. I think they brought them back so they can have them, first go futures deals for next year. And so we'll see what happens there. But Terrell Burgess and D. Delaney, if they didn't get put on IR and they didn't get hurt, I didn't see them making the team at this point anyway. So they're here and they'll be on the injury reserve. So they'll get paid for the season and they'll be able to recover with the Bills. So that's good for them. So now going to running backs. So running backs, Frank Gore Jr. had himself a day. 18 carries, 101 yards, a touchdown, 5.6 per carry. His longest carry was 17 yards. He's not an athletic guy particularly, right? He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. He's not the biggest, but he has instincts. He's got Devin Singletary-like instincts. He's not as physical as Devin Singletary. He's not as athletic as Devin Singletary, but he's got instincts like that. And I think that Frank Gore Jr. will probably be on the practice squad. Now, I see the comment here asking if he will be on the team. I don't think he'll be on the team, but I do think he'll make the practice squad. It really depends on how many guys end up having to be put on IR. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't think that he makes the 53. I think there are 3 running backs are going to be James Cook, it'll be Ty Johnson, and it'll be Ray Davis. And then Depends on if they keep Gilliam too. So that's going to be another thing. Like, do they plan on using a fullback like that to where they keep him, or do they let him go and save a little cap space? It's going to be a question that they're going to have to answer behind closed doors. I have no idea. As of right now, I have Gilliam making the roster, so Gore not. So I think Brown looked excellent. Was kind of hoping for him as QB2. I was hoping that he would be at least kept around until cut day, so that way they could throw him on IR. Maybe they let him go early, so that way either A, he finds a team because he showed out for us, or B, teams pass on him and we can throw him on IR or on a practice squad. I haven't seen any updates on Gore's injury, but he did say he thinks he'll be fine, so we'll see. Milano is 1 on IR, so they have 1 open spot. I didn't see them put Milano on IR, so I haven't seen that yet. So in my opinion, Gore goes on practice squad. I think so too, yeah. Let me see if they've updated and said that Milano goes to the injury reserve, because they have to do that on cut down day in order to bring him back. So yeah. Preseason game, here we go. Running again, but going back to running, I was kind of impressed with KJ Hamler's ability at running back when Gore and Darrington Evans both went down and they needed somebody to be back there. I mean, KJ Hamler at 179 pounds, whatever, 3 carries, 21 yards, and a touchdown. That's insane. And he had that touchdown at the goal line. So, like, he was in there in big boy season and broke the plane. So I like KJ Hamler there in like an emergency role. He'll make the practice squad for sure, unless somebody snatches him up. But I like what I saw from KJ Hamler in this game. He was not for lack of effort in this game. KJ Hamler was doing the most that he could to try and make this roster. And you can't be mad or fault anybody for just doing their best. And maybe, just maybe, KJ Hamler gets picked up by somebody else. But I liked what I saw from him. I liked the fact that he was willing, he was ready, and he was able to produce at running back of all positions. Positions you expect big boys to play. But Miami has a very small, fast guy named Devin Achane who's like 180 pounds and like 5'8". KJ Hamler kind of fits that same physical stature, but he's got, he's a little longer in the limbs too. Like, freaking Achane's a little more stout, but speed is speed, baby, and I'll take it. I do like that KJ Hamler, wasn't afraid of the opportunity, and he grabbed it by the horns and he ran with it, literally. So KJ Hamler's the guy I think that could make the practice squad for sure. Darrington Evans, he got hurt again. He might be a practice squad guy. Someone said in here, Gore will be poached. He might get poached, and if he does, good for him. I would love to see him play in the league. If he doesn't get poached, I'd love to see him on our practice squad and develop a little bit more. And if something happens to one of our guys, you bring him up. If Ty Johnson gets hurt again, or if Ray Davis gets hurt, you need another back who can find the hole and make people miss. He doesn't have breakaway speed, so he's not getting any 70-yard runs unless it's like everybody's fooled. But if he makes the practice squad, I think that he's somebody that is really interesting when it comes to the future with injuries. So going to receiving, none of the guys really shined at receiving. Darrington Evans and Deion Kane had the most receiving yards. Evans had 3 catches, 28 yards, and a touchdown. Deion Kane, 3 receptions, 9.3 yards. And I believe he was the one with the long hair looking like Sammy Watkins out there. Number 14. Yep, sure was. His face doesn't look anything like Sammy Watkins, but when you see that number 14 with the visor and the dreads, I'm telling you, man, like it reminded me of Sammy Watkins, but Sammy Watkins was much more dynamic when he played for the Bills for those couple years, and then he just kind of fell off. So I wish Sammy Watkins was much better in the NFL, but it happens. Zach Davison, 4 catches for 23 yards. Demir Bird, 1 catch for 20 yards. That was pretty good. Trey Bikiti, 1 catch for 20 yards. It wasn't really a great day for our quarterbacks yardage wise. They combined for 22 total passes caught for 178 and a touchdown. It wasn't great, but it was it wasn't disappointing either. There were no interceptions. That's good. Lets us know that the receivers were playing defense if the ball was not put in the right place. And Yeah, there were some plays that these quarterbacks wanted back, though, for sure. Like Ben DiNucci's throw to Tyrell Shavers, where Shavers was wide open. No one's there, and he leads him a little too much. And that play has caused some controversy, apparently, within Bills Mafia. Like Shavers should have caught that. He should have kept running his route. Or the Ben DiNucci should have hit him on the money, and it would have been fine. But I'm not here to argue that. I just know it was a play that I thought that both players could have done better. And so, moving on from that, the defense played pretty lights out. I mean, Takori Couch was all over the place. He had 10 tackles at nickelback, 8 of them solo, and a sack. And a QB hit. I mean, Joe Andreessen, 8 tackles, 2 solo this week. So he came down to earth a little bit this week, but he did play some starters. And Kyron Brown, another guy. He was cut today, I'm pretty sure, right? Kyron Brown, yeah, he was cut. He had 5 tackles, all of them solo. But, a lot of these guys were just on the edge of the roster. Edifan Ulufosio had a solid game. He had a really solid game. Coming off that injury, he went out there. He played pretty well. I liked what I saw from him. Kareem Jackson, I liked what I saw from him. He played pretty well. I don't know if he's making the team or not, but he's a guy I think that has potential to be on the team, especially with those guys being put on injured reserve in D. Delaney and freaking Tyrell Burgess. So I think that's a thing. Let's see. Zach Davidson made a nice one-handed catch. I love me some Zach Davidson. The problem is his tight end 3 is, generally speaking, a blocking position. He's not much of a blocker. Now, if Quentin Morris can't go, I'm all for keeping him on the team, unless they decide that Gilliam's going to be enough and he can move into tight end as well, and then be the blocker that they need there. But Davidson's not much of a blocker. He's a receiver. Now, we'll see what happens at the receiver position to warrant him staying around. He is one of my guys who potentially has a spot if there's injuries or injury reserve. We'll see. See, Sammy Watkins had so much talent and ability, but in my opinion, he didn't have the drive to be the elite wide receiver he could have been. Very true. And the injuries started stacking up on him. The injury bug is a bastard. And in the NFL, no one can afford to be taken out by the injury bug. But the injury bug is real. And when the injury bug bites, you go down. It's like that Japanese hornet. Like, you just don't want it. And so I don't know, man. He bounced around a little bit much. He, Baltimore, the Chiefs, he was on the Bills, obviously. And after that, it's just, good job. You collected some checks and you went home, and hopefully he's doing well for himself. I don't even know if he's on a team right now. Let me see. Sammy Watkins. He is the Packers. Is he on the Packers right now, or is he a free agent? No, he's a free agent right now, so he played for the Packers too. I didn't realize he played for the Packers. See what's happening with Bass. He's not going anywhere. His contract is too crazy for us to get rid of him, so he's going to be around. And I don't like that they are in that position with him, but there's also not any other kickers on the market right now that are better. So who are you cutting him for? I have no idea who they cut him for if they cut him. All right. If you put Gore Jr. on Buffalo or Buffalo Joe on the practice squad, they will get poached. Maybe. Definitely maybe. It could be one of those times where you cut them and then you say, wait outside, and then all the moves are made. You make your IR decisions, and then you bring them right back. So, yeah. Hey, come on, man. Sammy Watkins always had a foot or toe problem. Get over him. He wasn't that good. Wasted pick. He was that good. He just wasn't that healthy always. And then I think he just gave up on his career, man. Talent-wise, he was that good. Actually putting it together and giving a damn to play, not that good. So I'm partially with you on that. I wish he was good. I wish him well, but yeah. I think Mitch Trubisky is on IR next to Matt Milano. He might be. He might be. And they may bring back like a Kyle Allen if he gets cut by the Steelers. And, that's a very big possibility. In fact, we'll pull up NFL.com to see who else has made some cuts. Because Black Monday is tomorrow. Or unless that's something else. Unless it's a different thing. Let's see. No, there's a preseason game still going on right now, so there's not going to be anything crazy like that. All right. Never mind that. One of my dogs is annoying my old lady. See, Mike White was a quarterback cut. Never know. I wouldn't mind bringing him in. He's played pretty well when given the opportunity. I don't dislike Mike White. Also, that kid's got a set of balls like nobody's business. Like nobody's business. Like when he was getting blasted by Matt Milano, like that's crazy. It's crazy that like he was still able to finish that game because Matt Milano like destroyed him completely. And he got up and was like, I'm freaking finishing this game. And so like Mike White has my respect and admiration, but we'll see. It would be nice to get Huntley. I like Huntley. Jones getting cut is a positive sign. Buffalo Joe will make the 53. It is a very positive sign that Buffalo Joe will make the 53. Let me see if there's anything else to talk about this preseason game. Like there was honestly, I watching the game and listening to it because I was at work. So, between jobs, I was able to watch it. And then once on the job, I just put an earpiece in and I listened to it. It was a boring ass game other than the scoring, right? Like it was statistically for the defenders, it was a pretty boring ass game. And so I'm happy that it is over and we can move forward. Now, going past the game, we're going to go ahead and get into my 53-man roster as of now. And then guys who are probably going to get put on IR and the guys who we have that could potentially be brought up to be on the roster. Surprisingly enough, I didn't have any quarterbacks at the time. But freaking Ben DiNucci. I keep confusing these Italian quarterbacks. I don't know what it is. But Ben DiNucci is on the roster. And I don't see him making the roster. I see him being a practice squad guy and the Bills bringing in somebody else, formerly of the Buffalo Bills, probably to replace Trubisky for the foreseeable future. They may even put him on season-ending IR if they bring back a Kyle Allen or somebody who's, just good enough to take over for the whole season. Thing is, you want to keep a Ben DiNucci around on the practice squad in case you need to elevate somebody and that backup is not, in the case that backup is not ready to play. That backup should be brought in Tuesday or Wednesday, hopefully, if they're going to bring in another backup Tuesday or Wednesday. So if that's the case, they'll have a week to get ready and be the backup versus the 3 weeks of freaking DiNucci. So we'll see what happens there. I like DiNucci and what he's done so far. He could be better, but he's a backup. He's a third stringer, low end tier number 2. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Maybe if we could have made a stop on defense and stop letting them catch balls 20 yards over the middle, we would have. Someone's at my door. One sec. Okay. Had to yell at the dogs. So, balls 20 yards over the middle, we would have said or had a chance. Yesterday, it was close. It was a preseason game. I'm not really worried about it. Kyle Allen straight sucks, just like Trubisky. Yeah, true, but, he's familiar to the team, and he wouldn't cost a lot. And I think that may be what they're doing. I actually like the upside of DiNucci more than I do like Kyle Allen. So, yeah. Say what it is. Sorry I'm late. Family movie night. The 53 will be better than last year. I'm hoping so. I'm with you. I hope so. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up my little slideshow I did. And boom, and boom. There we go. So, quarterback, obvious. I didn't put names on this one because I know who they are. And I picked them. So, usually I put names. Didn't feel like doing that today. More work than needed. Josh Allen, Trubisky are the two quarterbacks who will be initially on the 53. Trubisky maybe moved to the IR with the designation to come back or not. And that depends on if they find another backup to take his place. And so we'll see what happens there. I think this is obvious. We don't need to talk about this. Joshua Patrick Allen is our quarterback, and he is the guy to lead the Buffalo Bills to the promised land so long as we get there. So I'm very, very, very optimistic the Buffalo Bills will win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen, and I'm just waiting for the day. Just waiting for the day. Next, the running back room. So on here, obviously, James Cook, the big ticket guy. Reggie Gilliam, the fullback / tight end. And then I have Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. Those are the guys who are making the roster at running back. I don't know if Frank Gore makes the roster because of anything, but that's just how it is. Trubisky holds it too long. FYI. Yeah, he does. He does. I think his confidence is rattled, and this probably is his last year in Buffalo and maybe in the NFL. So we'll see what happens. See, I think Mitch goes on IR. I do too. I'm pretty sure he's going to go on IR. I just don't know if it's going to be season ending or designation to return. He's a backup quarterback, so I don't know why it'll be designation to return. Plus, if Josh goes down, it's basically over. Unless somebody shows up that no one expected, like if DiNucci shows up and starts lacing it like a freaking all-pro, which highly, 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 highly unlikely, damn near impossible. But you never know. You never know. I'll never say never, but I will say probably not. The wide receiver room. Okay, here we go. So, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Mac Hollins, obviously. MVS is there. I think he goes to the IR. That neck injury was pretty rough, right? Neck injury is pretty rough. I think that he's probably going to go to the IR, and therefore I have Tyrell Shavers on here. But if he doesn't go to the IR, I still have 6 receivers at this point in time. Could be 5 receivers this year. Could be 5 receivers, but as of right now, I'm rolling with 6, and these are the 6. Tight ends. This is, to me, pretty obvious as well. It's Kincaid, it's Dawson Knox, it's Quentin Morris. Those are your top 3 guys, right? Quentin Morris may find himself on the IR with the designation to return. He may be back by the time the regular season starts. I don't know. I know that Buffalo fans, including myself, have really fallen for the mystique that is Zach Davidson. I am also pretty sure I've seen that Morris has had a pretty good offseason as well. He hasn't taken a step back at all. So him and Davidson have both had pretty good, preseasons. They both had pretty good training camps, and Morris is a better blocker. So I see Morris making a team. See, unless they release MVS because of his injury, they could do that, but then they'd owe him a bunch of money because he has like 1.35 guaranteed. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you're pinching pennies, it's a lot of money. All right, so I think Quentin Morris is going to make the team over Zach Davidson. If he finds himself on IR, I don't know how bad his injury is, but if it's bad enough to be put on IR, this could be Zach Davidson right here. Some people have been saying McKitty because of his blocking ability. I would be shocked if McKitty made the roster. To me, it's Morris or Davidson. There's no between for me. If you need a blocking tight end, Dawson Knox can take that role on those downs where you need that guy to block. Zach Davidson is a baller, it appears, and so we'll see what happens. See, I think Buffalo signed a wide receiver or off waivers, okay? And I think Davidson makes the team. Davidson reminds me of Scott Chandler. I never thought about that, but yeah, he kind of reminds me of Scott Chandler a little bit too. He does remind me a little bit of Scott Chandler. And so, that being said, Zach Davidson is on my honorable mention guys. You guys will see that list at the end. But this is who I have making the team at tight end as of right now. And I wanted to let you guys know, just because I put them on this list does not mean that I like the player. Does not mean I am hoping that they make the team. This is just what I think is going to happen, right? This is not my I wish this is the 53. This is my I believe this will be the 53. That's just where I'm sitting. Okay? All right, here we go. Starting offensive line, these 5 guys, we already know these are the guys. They're making the team. They are the starters on the offensive line. Deion Dawkins. We have Spencer Brown. Those are the tackles. We have Connor McGovern at center. Then we have David Edwards and Osiris Torrance at guard. Guards on the right. And then I was trying to put these 2 crossed, but, I had money in my savings and I wanted to put it in my checking, but it's going to take 2 days and I couldn't do it. So I had to just deal with the arrangement that PowerPoint gave me. So it is what it is. But I did make sure that my boy Deion was top left. That's the guy right there. He, to me, is the most important offensive lineman on this team, bar none. Now, the backups on the offensive line, to me, are more interesting than the starters. I see your comment, Daniel. Scott Chandler was a better blocker than Davison. Yeah, he was. Scott Chandler could block. He could definitely block. His receiving ability, though, I do compare to with Davison, but the blocking ability is not close. That's my only thing with Davison. That's the only thing, is that his blocking ability is not there. I hope the Bills keep Keaton Bills on the practice squad. I do too. I like what I saw out of him. I think he can develop into a proper backup in the NFL. Maybe he can, develop into a proper starter one day. I don't know, but I'm liking what I see out of the starting unit, and we'll see about the backups. See, Gable could be a backup for Dawkins. Gable has been playing guard mostly, from what I understand. Let me go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Tylen Grable is who you mean. That's who you mean. Tylen Grable. Tylen Grable. For the Bills. So he's a tackle. Wonka, I'm doing a show. Doing a show. So Grable, I think, was more going to be the right tackle, the backup right tackle. It's okay, man. There's a Gable on the team, so I was like, hang on, he's a defensive tackle. See, Van Pran will be the starting center by the end of the year. That's wishful thinking, but we'll see. All right, so the backups. These are the backups I have making the roster. And so I have Alec Anderson, Tylen Grable, I have Cedric Van Pran Granger, and I have Ryan Vandermark. Those are the guys I have making the team as backups. So I have 9 offensive linemen total making the team. I think that's necessary because Ryan Vandermark has not impressed me at right tackle, but he's been very good at left tackle. Tylen Grable will be the backup at right tackle. That's what he finished playing at, I believe, in college. And then Alec Anderson and Van Pran Granger. Anderson will be the swing guard. We'll do a swing guard thing. And Cedric Van Pran Granger will be the backup center. Good, healthy water. Coconut water at that. So that is a interesting thing. We'll see what happens with our boy Connor McGovern. I think they can get out of his contract after this year, so we'll see what happens there. See, Keaton Bills opened up that hole for Frank Gore's touchdown. Huh. He will most likely be on the practice squad then. I like that. How many O-line do we keep on the practice squad? Probably 2 or 3. I see Keaton Bills going to the practice squad. I see, obviously, Travis, what's his freaking name? From the UK. Travis Clayton making the practice squad. I see, Richard Garage probably making the practice squad. So, yeah, there's a few guys who could make the practice squad for the Bills. Like probably 3 guys. The Bills like to have extra O linemen on the practice squad. It's one of the things. The trenches they really, really concern themselves with. So I think that it'll be 2 or 3. At least 2. At least 2. I also see at least 2 defensive linemen being on there too. So there's 16 slots. We'll see what happens. Moving on, I got the special teams out the way because the defense is really the highlight of this video. We all basically knew who the starters are on offense. We all basically knew who's making the roster on offense, minus 1 or 2 guys. Right? We already know our kicker is going to be Tyler Bass. We already know our punter is Sam Martin, and we already know that Reed Ferguson, whose head got cut off in this picture, is our long snapper, who may be cut on cutdown day and then brought back like he always is. They always do that. They keep him, they cut him, go out to the parking lot, we'll come back, we'll get your contract written back up, and then we're going to put such and such on IR. And once he's on IR with the destination to return, we'll bring you back in and we'll have you sign this thing and good to go. Xavier Johnson, wide receiver for practice squad. I don't know if I haven't really been impressed with Xavier Johnson, but, you know, I haven't seen much out of him. I think KJ Hamler is a practice squad, have to have him. Like, he's got to be in the practice squad, in my opinion. Especially since I don't have him making the roster. He's got to make the practice squad. I'm not really impressed with Xavier Johnson. All right. Moving off of special teams. Defensive end. So the 5 guys, burgers and fries, that most people think is going to be there. I also have there AJ Epinesa and Groot, the 2 starters, big boys. And then the 3 guys, you know, situational, you know, backups or situational players that'll be in Von Miller, Dwan Smoot, and Javon Solomon. Javon Solomon has done nothing but impress me this preseason and this training camp. It is what it is. I love the fact that he's played well. Kingsley Jonathan is a guy who you could see hitting that practice squad, or somebody could scoop him up, but I don't. That's really going to be up to his options out there. Right? Somebody might like him. I like Kingsley Jonathan. He's a Syracuse guy. Go Orange. But I see Javon Solomon making the roster over him. So just cut Bass. Always go for it. Just cutting Bass cost them $7 million in dead cap this year. So I don't know. Super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Like a boss. Man, that's a good name for it. Like a boss just dropped the freaking super chat. Let's go. So super chats will take priorities, guys. I do not see them bringing another kicker. They may bring one on the practice squad just in case, but I don't see them cutting Tyler Bass this year. If nothing else, they'll IR him or something, and then they can get rid of him next year. But this year is not happening. He's going to be on the team. Smoot can play inside also, and so can Groot. Groot can play inside also as well. So, yeah. That's actually going to play into my defensive tackle depth, right? So these 5 guys, you know, Dwan Smoot on rushing downs is going to be a guy you see subbed in quite a bit, probably for Epinesa. Epinesa's pretty decent at run stopping, but he's not the best at it. Dwan Smoot is better at run stopping than he is. I think Epinesa is more of a pure pass rusher than Dwan Smoot is, so I think that'll be the case. Von Miller and Javon Solomon will see time on passing downs, especially later in games. You'll see those guys go in there and be fresh legs for this defense. You know, when we have a team on the ropes and they're trying to get down the field, you put in 2 pass rushers, 2 studs who can get in there and bend the edge. That'll be the case there. Whew, Lord have mercy. Smoot can play inside, yep. And maybe another punter. Maybe. That's more likely than kicker. More likely than kicker. See, agree on Van Pran at the Trek. Where's at the Trek? I'm not seeing a comment from an at the Trek. All right, well. See, good punter, good on punter. Martin is fine. Martin's fine. I mean, we're not going to be punting that much anyway, I don't think, and I don't hope. He did shank a couple this preseason, and, you know, he can do better, but I think he's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. I'd much rather would have kept Jack Browning, but I think money played into that quite a bit, and so now we're dealing with this. Defensive tackle. I got us keeping 4 defensive tackles, so 9 defensive end, the defensive linemen. Okay, obviously on top, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, starters. Then I have Dwayne Johnson. Wow. The Rock says Dwayne Carter and Austin Johnson. Right? Austin Johnson, I combine those two guys together to make The Rock. Austin Johnson will be the 3 tech or the 1 tech behind Daquan Jones. He's a big boy, 315 pounds. Freaking Dwayne Carter, he will obviously be the backup 1 technique to Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver, at 187 pounds, or excuse me, 287 pounds, being that big boy to, in the middle, even though he's a little short and undersized, you then get you another guy like Dwayne Carter in the draft to back him up. Let's see. Scott was talking to me. Okay. And what about Gable Stevenson? I see him on the practice squad, or Stevenson. There's no N in Stevenson. So I think that Gable Stevenson will make the practice squad. If he makes the main roster, then that means that he did a lot to impress, and he will be a penetrating force on the inside for sure. I also, with his size, I wouldn't be surprised if they put him at end on occasions, especially if we have like some exotic defensive formations that our boy Bobby, he ain't just a coach, he's a Babich. If he decides to have some exotic formations, which you never know, he's a young guy. He may have some ideas. If Gable Stevenson makes the roster, I'll be surprised, but I could see him on the practice squad and being elevated a couple times this year in case somebody gets hurt. But I think that he will be around. He won't be out of Buffalo, in my opinion. Joey Hatch, that's why there's a possibility either could get traded. Yeah, okay. So I thought 6 DEs, 4 DTs, just my opinion. Could be. This mock 53 is my opinion. I think this will be what it is for now. So we'll it was not easy making these decisions. It was very difficult to make these decisions. And so at defensive tackle, these are the guys I have making the main roster. And I think that there's going to be like 2-3 guys, defensive ends and defensive tackles on the practice squad. There'll be an Eli Anku. There'll be a Deshaun Williams. There'll be guys who make the practice squad who will be able to be elevated in case of emergency. But these will be the guys who make the team. Also, with DeJuan Smoot at defensive end, being able to play inside, you have another backup 1 tech, or 3 tech, who can play for you. And so that's what I'm thinking. Let's see. Joey Hatch, not true. He was obviously or absolutely a problem for the teams. His foot problems never got better. Okay, you guys are talking about Sammy Watkins. See, I would rather have a 4th running back than a 6th defensive end. I didn't have that either, so I had 4 or 5 defensive ends and 3 running backs. See, what about our kick returner / corner? We're getting there, man. We're getting there. We working down the depth chart. We're working down the positions. So now we move on to the linebacker spot. Now, it's been brought to my attention that the guy on the bottom left, Deion Jones, has been cut. Matt Milano is probably going to IR. So that leaves a big old spot for Joe Andreessen. Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, Ulofoshio. I got Balen Spector. Once Matt Milano goes to IR, I got Nick Moreau, and I got Joe Andreessen now. Okay, so 2 of the guys in this picture gone. 1 of them to IR, 1 of them cut. Replace those 2 guys with Joe Andreessen and Defuan Ulofoshio. Those guys right there will round out our 6-man linebacker core. We almost always keep 6 linebackers. I don't remember a time where we kept 5. Right? Even if one of the 6 was freaking Dirty Red, freaking Matakevich. I think the Buffalo Bills will roll 6 linebackers. So again, Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, Edefon Ulofoshio, Balen Spector, Nick Moreau, and freaking Joe Andreessen. Those are my guys. 2 of them, again, are not in this picture. 2 of them are not in this picture. Spector is made of glass. Maybe so, but they do like him. And so I don't get to control who they like. Also, Nicholas Moreau was hurt this offseason. Ulofoshio was hurt this offseason. In this picture, only Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams. Oh no, he was even hurt this offseason a little bit. Only Terrell Bernard and Deion Jones didn't get hurt this offseason. And Deion Jones has been hurt quite a bit in his career. So there's that, right? The only two guys who are truly fully healthy are Terrell Bernard and Joe Andreessen. So we'll see how that works out. Well, and Dorian Williams is fully healthy now, but he definitely had his moments where he had something. I forget what it was. Corners. This wasn't too hard. Taron Johnson. Freaking Rasul Douglas. The man Christian Benford. Kyer Elam. Jamarcus Ingram. And our boy Daquan Hardy. Daquan Hardy to me has been a blessing in disguise. Like, that's a diamond in the rough. This kid, Penn State, 6th-round pick. We brought him in here to be a return man. We loved his return ability. He's playing nickel and outside corner. This past game, he was playing outside corner and holding his own. He's played nickel behind Taron Johnson in preseason games this preseason and played very well. He then, this game, instead of being charged to just return everything, was told, hey, we need you to make the smart decisions on these returns and fair catch it if it's within, the 10. If it's at the 10, you fair catch that. You don't bring that back unless you have a fully clear field. And he did it. That tells me he has one of the most important things that you can have as a professional athlete, and that's the ability to take to training. You have to be able to be trained. You have to be, as we call it in the military, in the Army at least, trainable. You have to be trainable. Clearly, Daquan Hardy is freaking trainable. I like that. The other 5 guys to me were locks already. Jamarcus Ingram, he's been playing lights out this preseason and in training camp. Kyer Elam, it's our first-round pick from a couple years ago. He's been playing so well this preseason and this offseason. I think he's going to be the future at corner alongside Christian Benford. I think he'll get his 5th-year option after this year. Christian Benford will be extended after this year. Rasul Douglas, while I think we'll see his last time in Buffalo. We're not going to be able to afford to keep him, and that'll allow Kyer Elam to progress into that starting role that he should deserve and earn by the time the season's over. But we'll see what happens there. But I think that that's the future. But this year, these 6 guys, these guys are on the team. See, Takori Couch should be good depth also. He'll be on the practice squad. I'm pretty sure. I wasn't really big on Takori Couch, but I am now. I was actually higher on Kanai, but now Takori Couch is somebody who I've been paying attention to. I like what I see out of him. I think that he's going to be impressive. So, yeah. See, he made it. Who made it? I need you to let me know who made it because I don't know who you're talking about. Because the roster's not set yet. We've only released 7 people. And they have till Tuesday to get down to 53. So no one's made it yet. We just know some guys haven't made it. Let's see. Safeties. So these are the safeties I'm keeping. It's Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop. Those 2 guys are a lock. Taylor Rapp just signed a 3-year deal. Cole Bishop just drafted. Cam Lewis. He's been a staple on his defense. He can play any position except defensive line and linebacker. He can play nickel. He can play outside corner. He can play safety, strong or weak, or strong or free. He's making the team. DeMar Hamlin has played very well this offseason. I think he'll be on the team. If not, if something happens there, he could be somebody who gets cut, but I don't foresee that happening. I foresee DeMar Hamlin making the roster as of now. And Mike Edwards, who is now fully healthy, along with Cole Bishop, from what I understand, they should potentially be back for week 1. So we'll see what happens with those guys. They could, if they do not want to have Cole Bishop out there right now, if they want time, they could always store him on the injured reserve like they did last year with Justin Shorter. But I think Cole Bishop's got too much promise, and that blitzing ability is too real. Like, the Buffalo Bills are going to want to keep him around, and I think that he'll make the roster and not be on IR. But we'll see what happens. Let's see. Cam should be on the practice squad or cut. I disagree. I think that Cam should be on the main roster. He's There were years where I said never again at safety, and now I'm backing on those words. I think that he has grown quite a bit and enough to make this roster. I think that Cam Lewis is a guy who, if you have a mass amount of injuries at any one position, he can play that position outside of linebacker, and he may even be able to go in there and make it a nickel thing if you wanted to. Granted, I prefer if you ran not nickel, a dime thing. If you ran dime, that he would move up to safety and you'd move someone bigger down into the box, like a Taylor Rapp or a DeMar Hamlin, something like that. But these are the guys who I have making it a safety, like Taylor Rapp. I don't really love our safety position. I'll be honest with you. The one guy who I do love at safety is too young to tell, and that's Cole Bishop. Mike Edwards, he played well in the Super Bowl, and Taylor Rapp played for us last year, so I like him. Jacob Spears from vacation. Thank you for watching the show, man. You're on vacation. You're watching me. There you go, man. I appreciate that. Love you, buddy. So you ready to crush the Cards? Go Bills. Hell yeah, I'm ready to crush the Cards, man. Week 1 is going to be like the fourth preseason game, except we're going to play our starters and crush them. Now the guys, let's see, what you mean you don't think Bishop will go to IR? He's back off, of course, and he ain't going to IR. No, that's what I'm saying is I don't think he's going to IR because he's back. But if they wanted to store him, they could always be like, uh-oh, he re-aggravated it and then store him if they wanted to. I don't see that happening because I think he's too valuable on the field. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just because he's healthy doesn't mean he's not going to IR, you know? Just how it was. So, or just how it is, you know, like last year, I don't know how hurt Justin Shorter truly was to be put on season-ending IR. But there we go. Cards lost by 38. Golly. Oof. That's preseason. No one cares, but still, like, it's bad. Kendall Williams probably practice squad. I agree. Kendall Williamson's probably a practice squad guy. Now, the next guys I'm going to show you guys are not guys that I say are going to be on the practice squad. They could be. They probably are guys who are priorities to make the practice squad. They're also guys who I see potentially being slotted in due to injury reserve or just plain, you know, the guy I thought was going to be in here got cut. So this is my honorable mention players. There's 6 of them. I got Zach Davidson, top left. Zach Davidson has had an excellent offseason for the Buffalo Bills. He's got everything thrown his way. He plays physical. He plays fast. He plays, excuse me, I got the hiccups. He plays fearless. I love his play. I love his receiving ability. He just can't block, and that's why he's here and not on the 53. I love me some Zach Davidson, though. If he makes the 53, I will not be upset. One bit. Not one bit. See, let's go. Bills, the team will be ready to defend our division. You damn right. Damn right. I like the positivity. Second guy on the top, number 44, Joe Andreessen. Now that Deion Jones has been released, I got him making the roster. He's no longer in this bubble now. Deion Jones has been removed from the other one. Joe Andreessen, boom, he's now in that spot. Joe Andreessen makes this team. Top right, KJ Hamler. Love what he did in Carolina or against Carolina this week. Didn't do a lot in the receiving game. Got an opportunity at running back. Took the bull by the horns. Ran the ball his hardest. No fear. 170-something pounds. And just ran with it. I love when players do that. I love when guys are not afraid to really just take whatever opportunity is given them and just doing the most with it. And I think he did that. 3 carries, 21 yards, and a touchdown. He, to me, is a priority practice squad guy. In my opinion, he leapfrogs Andy Isabella for a practice squad spot. See, who else do we think will get cut? And for the contract Knox is being paid, they should trade Knox and insert Davidson and clear up space. Knox can block, and Davidson can't. That's the one thing there. It's like we already have Kincaid, who's not really that great a blocker. He can block, he can block some linebackers here and there, and he can block some secondary guys here and there, but he's not blocking no defensive ends. He's not blocking any defensive tackles. He's not blocking any big guys. And if you're playing a 3-4 team, he's not blocking those linebackers. Kincaid's not a blocker. You don't want to have no blocking tight ends. And while Dawson Knox's contract was pretty overwhelming. Dawson Knox took a pay cut this year. Like he accepted a little bit more guaranteed money, but he decreased his salary quite a bit for the Buffalo Bills to be able to afford these other guys. Like he took a pay cut like Von Miller. He recognized that, hey, I didn't produce, and so I owe them back. And you want guys on the team who are honest like that, who have integrity, right? The guys like that have integrity. They recognize their failures, right? Because this year for him was a failure, mostly due to injury, but still, it was a failure. There's no way you can, if and or maybe that. Just like Von Miller's last year was a failure due to ACL, but still, there's no ifs, ands, or maybes about that. It was a failure. So those two guys had enough integrity within themselves to say, hey, I owe the team money back, and they gave it back. And so I think Dawson Knox is going to be here. So is he the GOAT? Man, Akeem Richards, this right here is the founder of Built in Buffalo along with Dave Myers. I appreciate that, Akeem. I love you, buddy. That's my bro. See, I think Knox will be in Buffalo till he retires. I would love that. I love Dawson Knox. I'm a big fan of Dawson Knox. This past year, the wrist injury really took a lot out of him. And even after that, even though it was an injury, he said, I'm going to give money back. I really love that about him. The integrity speaks for itself. And I still give him my condolences for the loss of his brother Luke the year before. It's tough. See, maybe we could trade Cam for a 6th or 7th rounder next year. That's definitely possible. Like Brandon Beane does find a way to trade players like a Cam Lewis. He traded freaking who's that offensive lineman? Marshall Newhouse. Well, that guy sucked. We got like a 6th or 7th round pick for him, and he was garbage. I don't even know if he played for I think it was the Patriots we traded him to. I don't even think he played for them the whole year. I think they were like, yeah, we see why we got you for so cheap. Cool, bye. And then he ended up getting cut. Like he was garbage. But Bean has that gift of gab, getting late round picks, and then later on, oftentimes he packages those up to move up in the draft. So those are actually valuable. You can turn something that's not really going to work for you and make it something that is going to work for you. So I think that's really important that they have that ability. I don't know if it's going to be Cam Lewis specifically, but I do think that somebody like him could be a candidate for that. All right, moving on. Bottom left corner, we have the son of a legend, Frank Gore Jr. His daddy is the 3rd leading rusher in NFL history. He played like 18 years in the NFL. He then had a boxing match like a year ago. Like Frank Gore is a legend. I don't care what anybody says. He's a legend as a man, not just a football player. Frank Gore is a legendary man. And so we got that legend's kid here, and the kid may not be as strong as his dad. He may not be as physical as dad. He may not be as fast as his dad. He's got heart. Frank Gore Jr. has some freaking heart in his chest. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they do keep 4 running backs, and maybe I'm wrong, and he's that guy. He makes the roster. Maybe. If not, he is a practice squad priority, in my opinion, and Frank Gore Jr. is a guy who has instincts, in my opinion, reminds me of Devin Singletary. He's not quite as shifty as Devin, but he's got instincts like Devin. He's not as quick as Devin, but he has the vision, and the vision is just as important. Granted, Devin had the vision and the shiftiness, so, cut that cloth how you will. I do like what I saw from Frank Gore. Yesterday, 18 carries, touchdown, freaking 101 yards. You can't ask for anything more out of your running back than that. That's a good day for any running back on any given Sunday. And yesterday was Saturday, but no one cares. We wanted to see what he could do in a role where he carried the ball multiple times. He carried the ball like a starting running back in the NFL would 18 to 20 times. He's a guy that you might see get traded in that same Cam Lewis situation. Somebody might be looking for a running back, and you'd be like, well, he's going to make our roster. And they'd be like, all right, we'll send you guys a 6th-round pick for him. I'd take it, but at the same time, I do like what I see out of Frank Gore Jr. So I don't see it happening. I don't see him making the roster, but if he does, I won't be mad. I like Frank Gore Jr. Now, on the bottom center, Kingsley Jonathan, number 59 from the University of Syracuse. I hold him near and dear to my heart because I love my Syracuse Orange, and I liked him when he played there. And I also like what he's done so far with the Bills. We just got a younger guy in Javon Solomon who makes him somewhat expendable. Now, if I'm wrong and we don't only keep 5 defensive ends and we go 6, he's a guy who, again, I would not be mad at making the roster. He has done well. In my opinion, Casey Tuhill has not done enough to make this roster, and he doesn't have any dead cap. I think he's got like $40,000 in dead cap. That's nothing. That's nothing. Kingsley Jonathan, I think, has more potential to make this roster than a Casey Tuhill. Casey Tuhill is another guy you can throw on the practice squad, or he can get picked up by somebody else and be a reserve guy. I like me some Kingsley Jonathan. I think that Kingsley Jonathan is worthy of making this roster. But, some guys you can't keep. You can't keep them all. We wish we could, but we can't. And then the bottom right. That is Kareem Jackson, safety. Now, let's say Mike Edwards isn't what, we're hoping for. Let's say that freaking Taylor Rapp gets hurt, something like that. Kareem Jackson, to me, is a guy that they can potentially put on the practice squad unless he wants to be released. But he could also make this team. If they were to do that Cam Lewis trade that was suggested right here by the Trek reviewer, Kareem Jackson's a guy who could fill in. He's played some valuable reps. And also, he's been a starter for so long. He's 35 years old. He'll be 36 this year. Kareem Jackson's a guy you could keep on the roster for a while, this year, and you wouldn't be hurting with him on the field. He's a guy who has good instincts. He's played in the NFL. He's got skills and knows defense very well. I don't know if he knows this defense very well, but he knows defense. And so Kareem Jackson, he's 36 now. My bad. He's currently 36 years old. When he played in the SEC at Alabama, he's played for some good teams. He's played next to some really good safeties. He's been a good safety. So he has potential to make this team, but he's the last guy that I really see on the outside looking in. Now, that is my 53 after week 3. So preseason week 3 happened, 53-man roster. This is the initial. This is what I think is going to happen by Tuesday. It's not to say that this can't change after that, but after that, I have no idea what the NFL is going to look like because every team has to get down to 53 at that point in time. Because of that, we don't know who's going to be available. And you never know. Somebody who you just have to be willing to go after is going to be available. All right, let's say a backup quarterback like a Tyrod Taylor, which was mentioned earlier, or a Tyler Huntley, or Mike White, who's available now. He might be somebody that they want to bring in. You just never know. And so with these availabilities, I just think that the Buffalo Bills have a lot of potential to move around pieces on the board. And so as of right now, this is my current 53. Injured reserve will take a big part in this. Players moving around from other teams will take a big part in this. Trades may take a big part in this. Don't be surprised if this changes. I know my list is going to change. And so next week, I'll probably be covering who actually is on the 53, comparing it to this. And that's why I wanted to do this week, because next week, there's no game. There's not a game to talk about. But next week, I can definitely talk about who has been cut, who has been put in injured reserve, and I can definitely talk about who has been either signed or retained. Any surprises. Like, next week is going to be fun. Next week's going to be so much fun because all the stuff that's taking place. But, guys, that is my show. I love all of you. I appreciate you guys for being here. Go Bills. And, again, don't be surprised when the roster comes out if guys that you wanted to be here aren't here, or if guys that you did want to be here or didn't want to be here are. It is what it is. The NFL is a strange place. Also, don't be surprised if someone shows up to the Buffalo Bills roster that you did not think was possible, but because of the constraints of the salary cap or something else some of the team is going through, we get. Do not be surprised. The NFL, again, strange place. Gotta love it. And it stands for 2 things: National Football League and not for long. God bless you all. Go Bills. And we're going to cue up that outro. Peace.